Good evening.
Good evening.
How is everyone?
Me personally, I'm doing all right. I'm happy that it's almost Friday.
Right.
Yeah.
Same here. I had some unfortunate technical difficulties with the weather yesterday. So,
Yes, you did.
yeah, I'm here though. We're here for another edition of Brackets and Buckets. Um, I guess I should have introduced myself and my co host.
Absolutely.
So, I am Wellness Brit. Um, Brittany Wallace, former collegiate and professional athlete, now professional chef and analyst, if you want to say podcaster.
Facts. Facts.
And this here is
Chanteé Hallett. Also a former hooper turned attorney. So, and now podcaster and all type of things. So, yeah.
yeah. So we're here with the our latest brackets and buckets episode. Obviously, I know we're doing this in collaboration with the 9450. So please make sure you subscribing to everything 9450, Twitter,
There we go.
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere. Okay? Just wanted to drop that. Make sure you following us. But as always, we're talking hoops, but today we're also talking beyond the sport,
Yes.
the business of sports, something we really, really love to kind of dive deep into. One of the reasons why we started kind of like 21 titles to give our community the behind the scenes action that's going down that we're usually not privy to or we're
Right.
usually really not looking for, essentially. So, yeah, we're going to break down some business of sports talk within the realm of the Final Four and March Madness. So, let's get to it, Roxanne.
Let's get to it. So I guess we can start with just like breaking news for today. Um Haley Van Lith. First of all, the transfer portal has been crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if enough people have been like really paying attention to it. I think Brittany, you've been doing an amazing job and like really constantly communicating the amount of people that are currently in the transfer portal. And I think I saw the other day, hell, it may have been yesterday that there's over 1,000 or 1,200 D1 players in the transfer portal,
Correct.
um, which is crazy. But there's been a lot of just moving and shaking. And then today, we find out that Haley Van Lith has entered the transfer portal. Um, Tell me how you feel about that.
I was, to be quite honest, I was shocked that this was another Survivor blindside for me. Um, I thought I got blindsided this week with Talia from Oregon State entering the transfer portal. I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Their point guard, and then this, I didn't see. I just thought she was going to stay another year and just kind of thug it out, you
yeah,
know. Um, but I'm really interested to see where she lands. This,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like now, I don't think she should play point guard. I think she should play off guard,
Hmm.
and she should go to a team that has a solid point guard already, so that she can play off the ball. Cause I just feel like her transition this year wasn't smooth, and I don't think it was what everyone or what she thought it was gonna
Hmm.
be.
Hmm.
Um, and again, I think you use this phrase. A lot of these kids is out here trying to chase rings, um, and I think that's what she's trying to do. She's trying to
Yeah,
come here to win some. I know she want to win a chip,
fact.
obviously. So yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that you know, I think you mentioned before, like during the tournament, she was only averaging like 6 points a game, which is like not like standard Haley Van Lith, like Louisville Haley Van Lith. And I
Yeah.
throughout the entire season she's been struggling, um, just transitioning, like you said, into a whole new position. I also agree with what you just said about her. I don't think she. I think what she envisioned, it just didn't happen how she may have envisioned it to happen. I think if she would have, I think if LSU would have won a ring this year, she would have stayed, or obviously would have declared, maybe. Um, and even with her declaring, I don't know if she, even with the ring, I don't know if she would have went forward with wanting to enter the draft just because of her performance this season.
Yeah.
Um, but I say all that to say, if she wanted to, if they would have won a ring, I think she would have felt more inclined to stay, maybe, and continue to build with the team for another year. So,
Yeah.
I guess my question is, was her transfer to LSU in vain? Like, I don't know. I mean, I do think, like you just said, she wants to win a national championship. I think she also wants the opportunity to redeem herself. And I do think that it would be great for her to maybe go back to the position where she was thriving in at Louisville. So playing the two would probably be her best bet, maybe, so that she can produce and increase her numbers to better her chance of, you know, being selected in the 2025 WNBA draft. Um,
Mhm.
but I am very excited to see where she ends up. So we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we wanted to start off talking a little bit about that. Um, and then we had Daisha Fair. She declared for the WNBA today as well. We talked about her a bit a week ago, just the amazing season she has had. Quite frankly, the amazing 4 years that she's had throughout her college career, the two at Syracuse, and then before that, like the numbers she has put up throughout her college career, like we've said before, hasn't been talked about enough. Um, but she's a killer. She has a lot of heart. She may be small, but she plays really big.
Yeah.
Um, Her presence is felt on the floor, and I too am excited to see where she ends up in regards to the draft.
Look, man, this is the number three NCAA all-time scorer. Okay. Um, I I hate that great players like this get passed up because of their height.
Yeah,
Um, because at the end of the day, if you get buckets, your height don't really matter.
right, right, right.
Okay. So I'm excited to see her um on the next level.
Yeah.
Root for her for sure. Because she's an underdog, and
Hmm.
I love that underdog story. So shout out to Diasia Fair.
I hear right. Um, so we're gonna move on to the Naismiths award winners, and so of course, if you don't know, Caitlin Clark, she won the the Jersey Mike's Women's Player of the Year for the second year in a row. We know all of the wonderful and amazing things that she has done throughout, this year and then her career. So this was just fitting. We knew this was gonna happen, and she deserves it. I mean, she's been outperforming everybody. Um, she's just been doing the work, so she deserves this award.
Look, Caitlin, she's
Caitlin
sweeping
be Caitlin.
everything. She's sweeping all the awards. I mean, every week is a different record she breaking. Um, so it was this a surprise? No.
I'm about to start
Like
singing
I hate
"Surprise, Surprise." It wasn't.
surprise,
It
surprise.
was not. It
It
was
was
not.
definitely not. Okay. We knew, I mean, she's averaging 32 points per game. Shooting
Yeah,
from the logo, okay?
yeah, yeah.
Easy. This was well deserved. And obviously we know Coach Dawn Staley. wins Coach of the Year
Yes.
again. Okay,
Yes. Deserving. Led South
deserved.
Carolina to
Right.
into the Final Four undefeated for the second consecutive year. Amongst all the other amazing things Dawn has been doing over at South Carolina. So again, this wasn't a surprise. Very fitting, well deserved. Shouts to Dawn. We love her.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get into South Carolina a little bit later in this matchup later. But Cameron Brink. Now, yeah, Cameron Brink. She won Defensive Player of the Year. We did report on an episode way back when that she was the Pac-12. Um, facts. I'm laughing at that. We did report that Cameron Brink was the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. Um, which I was surprised about when we announced the conference awards. She averages, I believe, 3 blocks a game, and she led the nation in blocks. Um, but I'm still surprised with that result. Um, you know, Hannah Hidalgo, Hannah Hidalgo. She's averaging damn near 5 steals a game. Um, Plays active defense
Yeah.
throughout the entire season. So yeah, I was a little bit surprised that Cameron Brink won this award.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna have to do a side eye also because I feel like Brink also fouled out a lot this year.
No, for sure. It's not even you feel. She did. Facts.
And Hannah averaging 5 steals. Come on,
Yeah.
that's
Leading the nation.
yeah. At one point, I felt like what was her career high in a game this year? Like how many steals in one game? I
That's a
feel like
good
she had
question.
like 7 or something.
Yeah, it may have been 7 or around that.
Do y'all realize that some people get 7 steals in a season?
Right. Talk about it. Give
Like
that woman that award. She
right.
deserves it, but that's coming down the pipeline. I believe she'll get everything and more next season. Especially with Olivia Miles coming back, the
Yeah,
rest of her
I
teammates.
just seen that Hannah Hidalgo signed with CAA Sports
Yes.
for NIL
So
representation. So that thing going through the roof,
it's
baby.
listen, yesterday's price is not today's price. It's not.
Right.
And I think she's gonna really eat. She's gonna really eat next season. So but yeah, shouts to Cameron Brink, no shade. Just with surprise. So let's move on to more of the NCAA tournament on the business side of things. Um, we both thought it was really important to like kind of talk about how far the tournament has come along in regards to the women's side and the fact that for the women's tournament we just started to be able to use the March Madness logo, and I don't know if a lot of people are aware of that and how that even came about. But prior to like 2021, we were just using, or rather, not we, but the NCAA was acknowledging the women's tournament by just putting women's basketball, like literally the words women's basketball on courts, on everything. They
Right.
wasn't even putting them under the same umbrella as March Madness, which is crazy. Um, but yeah, this all started because of Sedona Prince, and shouts to her back in 2021. If you don't know, she made this viral video really just recording her experience at the NCAA tournament while at a San Antonio convention center.
Mm-hmm.
And, she showed just the lousy ass
Everything.
everything that was given to the
Disparities.
women. Yeah. I
Disparities.
mean,
We talking about the weight room disparity. Like literally, the men had an entire equipped weight room, and the
right,
women had dumbbells and
right,
and free weights on the
right,
floor. Okay,
right,
we want to talk about the food disparity.
Mm-hmm.
The men got way more food, probably
Catered.
right, probably better
Catered.
quality food
Facts.
than the women. The women's food looked like it was like cafeteria food, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
So she definitely highlighted and put on Front Street the disparities that were happening between the men and women's tournament.
Right.
Okay.
And that's really how this whole thing started. She like showed what was behind the veil. And it's amazing to me how, the NCAA moved so quickly when she did this. Because the video did go viral, like super
Right.
viral. Um, it's still on, TikTok. You can check it out if you haven't. Um, but yeah, the NCAA just be acting so damn like clueless, but they know exactly what's been going on. And and the issue of gender equity has been a major issue for years. And many coaches have spoke. I'll just say many coaches have been very outspoken about this issue. But once this video went viral, the NCAA did the most. So they hired a law firm to create a review report, to really outline what the NCAA was going to do moving forward to like fix the gender equity issue. They also then introduced the fact that the women's tournament can start using the March Madness logo. Um, they also started increasing the number of teams in the tournament, because at one point we only had 64 teams, which obviously didn't mirror the men's side. The men always had 68. So now we have 68. And they talked a little bit, about the swag bags and the merch and all the other stuff that the men were getting. The women weren't getting much of anything back in 2021. That wasn't even that long ago. You know what I mean? So just to put things in perspective, that wasn't that long ago where we couldn't use this logo and we wasn't getting anything for making the tournament. In addition to that, the NCAA started or promised to add more signage and other promotional items to create a better atmosphere at game sites, and increasing cross promotion between the men's and women's tournaments, which I think we have started to see. Obviously, we're starting to see that a lot, and obviously, it's been great feedback because the viewership is high. People are more invested in learning more about the women's game and the lives of these young women.
Right.
So I don't even want to credit the NCAA. I'm crediting Sedona Prince for just leading the charge and really getting this thing going. Um, but yeah, Brittany, you want to talk a little bit about how you feel about this, or just yeah?
Look, man, NCAA, it's been a long time coming. Okay. It really has been. It took a student athlete to go viral for things to be put in place. But we already know that's how things change, right? Something traumatic has to happen, something big has to happen in order for things to change. So I'm just happy we talking about the change, to be
No
quite
facts,
honest.
facts.
So I would like to continue to see the NCAA do more for the women, continue to obviously push and promote and do all the things that they need to do to continue to grow the women's game. Okay,
Right,
Holly Baker,
right.
thank you.
Yeah,
Okay, bye.
it's time. But just like continuing with just gender equity and that issue, just also bringing to the front what happened in 2022 at the Las Vegas Invitational as well, which was disgusting. And if you don't know about what happened, there was a Las Vegas Invitational back in 2022 where a few women's teams were invited, and the games actually took place in a ballroom. But what made things worse is that there were no bleachers. It's a ballroom. There wasn't like a legit setup. Spectators had to stand. But what really took it to the next level on like, and I mean a piss poor level, is that a player got injured that weekend really badly. However, it seemed as though paramedics were not on site. And then on top of that, when they called EMS, it took EMS an hour to get there. So, there was a lot of conversation, not even just on the women's side, but also on the men's side. They was interviewing like men's coaches, and the coaches agree, like this would have never happened if this was a men's tournament. This would have
Yeah,
never happened this way. So
never.
again, we have another situation where, you know, the veil was lifted. We see, gender equity, like the issue of gender equity coming to the forefront. Um, the it was hard to watch and it was hard to listen to. And I remember when this happened.
Yeah. To like a lot of stuff in women's basketball shouldn't happen. Um, that and a lot of stuff would never happen that happens in women's basketball that happens in men's basketball, to be quite honest. Like, do you remember this year when um Duke women's team and the other team, they played with a unofficial ball, they played with a men's
Right,
ball?
right.
How does something like that happen?
It's the lack of respect, to be honest. Like, and we're bringing this up because we're just showing just how far we just where we're at now and where we're still, where we still need to grow. And yeah, like there's still a lot more work to be done. But obviously, because of like how the women's side has been like showing up as in regards to numbers since like 2020, 2021, things are now, we're starting to now see change. And it's unfortunate we had to go through these things to see change, and the numbers and the viewership and everything else has to be up for us to see change, but that's kind of where we're at now. In addition to that, I think it's important to talk a little bit about the NCAA's media rights deal with ESPN. And, they just, I don't want to say renewed because, well, I'm going to use the word renewed. The contract or agreement has been renewed this year. However, the original agreement was entered into in 2011. And so um, with this current deal, the ESPN is saying that for 8 years they're going to pay the NCAA $920 million, and ESPN will pay the NCAA $115 million per year, with the women's tournament, the women's March Madness, being valued at $65 million, of that $115 million per year. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember when this article came out, when this news came out, a lot of us was wondering, well, hell, if the women's side is bringing in this much money, well, why can't they just be packaged on their own?
Right.
And the NCAA was talking about, well, yeah, they could be valued on their own, but if they do that, like, what happens with the rest of the teams? Like, what happens with the rest of the sports? We don't want to devalue the rest of the sports. And it's just so, yeah, like it's come on. You don't want to devalue the rest of the sports and leave the rest of the sports hanging. That's literally what the NCAA said. We don't want to leave anybody behind, when y'all have been leaving the women's tournament behind for years. So it's flat out disrespectful. Flat out disrespectful. Also wanted to give a shout out to Fox Sports, because when this negotiation was happening, Fox Sports actually wanted to single-handedly purchase the media rights for the women's tournament, along with women's volleyball. And, Brittany always talks about the women's volleyball. We cover it often, but they too saw record-breaking numbers this year, with the Nebraska game. Listen,
Absolutely.
women's sports in general is on the rise. Like, we're speaking about women's basketball, but women's sports in general is taking off.
Like, let's talk about the leagues. I'm just on a tangent here. I'm sorry, but we done created a hockey league, Obviously, we now have the NWSL, right? The soccer league for the women. They just created the pro volleyball league. Okay. Everything, all women's sports. If you are a business right now, it is in your best interest to figure out how you can incorporate women's sports in your business, because that's going to help take it to the top.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
We,
Yeah. So I think women's basketball got scared and broke from moving away from the ESPN Disney because of losing their audience. So they took that crap deal. And yeah, that's probably true.
mm,
I can agree with that and I can see that. Hopefully in the future though, you know, they'll have the confidence to move away from that just to see how they would do. Like I'm more interested in seeing the numbers and seeing how they would do on their own. If they're pulling in $65 million out of the 115 million each year
right.
annually,
Right.
that is a lot.
Right.
That's
That
a
is.
heavy load that they are carrying. So yeah. Also wanted to give you we wanted to give you some background about the media rights side of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I feel like this is the kicker, right? Um, so the question is, how much money do these schools make off of the NCAA tournament? And what's interesting is I don't think a lot of people know that there's a unit system that's utilized just for the men, meaning that the women are not being presented with this unit, this idea of a unit system. So I just wanted to give some background about that. So when I say the unit system, this is how the unit system works on the men's side. The
Mm-hmm.
NCAA pays out 132 units per men's tournament, one for every game played by a team. That means every squad that makes the tournament earns a unit for its conference. So far, we have, Connecticut, Purdue, Alabama, and then NC State. They're in the Final Four. So they've earned units for making this the round of 64, the round of 32, the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, and then the Final Four. Um, each unit, this is what's crazy. Each unit for the current tournament is expected to be worth a bit under $2 million. Each unit, each unit. Now, obviously, the more units, like you want, even though you may get kicked out the tournament, you still want somebody in your conference to
To
win
go.
because
Right. Right.
those
Right. Right.
units come back to your conference, not just your school, but the conference,
Right.
right? Um, so long story less long, on the men's side, they're making a ton of money each year. Um, to give you more information, the units are then paid out across the next 6 years, meaning this year's conference are earning on units from 2018 and 2023. And so, again, to be clear, there is no unit system for the women's tournament. There is no such thing. There's no such thing. Um, we've had Tara Vanderveer and a couple other coaches complain about this. Because this gives obviously the opportunity for these schools to make money, right? Um, for these conferences to make money, and this has not been available for women's basketball ever in history. At this point, it's not. I don't think it's a question of if they're gonna do it. I think it's a question of when they're gonna do it. Because everything is numbers driven. And as we'll talk about later, the viewership, the numbers for viewership, the ticket sales, all that is up exponentially for women's college basketball. So at this point, I feel like the NCAA is going to be forced to implement this unit system for women's basketball. I also want to highlight that, do y'all understand, like, if there was a unit system, every HBCU that has made it to the tournament would leave with some more money to their school,
Mm,
which
right,
is so important, especially
right.
for HBCUs. We talk about this all the time, but like that's why that unit system is so important.
Yeah, to be quite honest, I did not know that this system existed.
Yeah. DA said, you think since the men's and women's NCAA TV deal runs out in the same year that women's basketball will fight for the unit system? I think so. And I think it's a conversation that is being had,
Facts.
especially now. Like it's happening now. It has to
Right.
happen now. Um, and with that unit system, wow, it's great for the universities and it's great for the conferences. I just also want to highlight why NIL is so important, because while the schools are getting this money and the conferences are getting this money, there's no revenue sharing happening.
Mm,
Meaning when this money hits universities, they're not sharing it with the student athletes.
right.
This is part of the problem, y'all. This
Right.
is part of the problem.
This is how they make money off our name, image, and likeness.
They're literally making billions of dollars each year and not sharing the money. There's a pot and they're not sharing it with student athletes. DA says, should the new deal in 2032 be packaged women's basketball and men's basketball only? That's a good question. That would be dope to see. I don't see why not, but I don't think that the NCAA is going to do it because I think they're going to run with the fallback answer
The
of,
value. It's going to
yeah,
devalue the other sports.
the other sports.
Hmm.
And it would be dope to see, but I don't think they'll do it. I don't think so.
So, can I just say something?
Absolutely.
If the NCAA, so I just want to say something to Fox Sports, right? Because Fox Sports had the gall to even say, like, look, we want to come here and try to purchase it outright, right? They said that they wanted to try to purchase the women's basketball and volleyball rights outright, but that didn't happen. I think in the negotiation after these deals end, these networks should try to come up with something. Like I think Fox Sports has the bandwidth to implement a unit system for a tournament. And why I say that is because Fox Sports just announced yesterday that they are partnering with AEG to create another postseason conference for the men, postseason tournament for the men. Okay? The inaugural college basketball crown tournament. So you telling me they ain't got no, they got money.
They got money.
They got money. Look, they're setting to do this in 2025. They're going to begin this, okay? The 16-team tournament will highlight elite student athletes and competitive postseason matchups from select conferences, bringing fans more high-level competition and compelling storylines during the most exciting time of the year. Okay? The inaugural college basketball crown is set to feature schools from the Big 10, the Big 12, and the Big East, with additional at-large participants. The college basketball crown will take place at the MGM Grand Garden Arena and T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
Yeah, they got money.
They got money. If y'all not negotiating for a unit system in why are we here?
Right. Right.
Years have gone, have passed, and we haven't made no money. NIL came, and now all these coaches mad because we getting money now.
Right.
Nah, y'all can't get mad.
Which really, again, doesn't make any sense. Right. Just what we just broke down and what we just
Cut
talked
that
about.
slice.
Cut the
that
slice. And I think we also talked about how they are trying to, come up with some like revenue sharing or profit sharing models at certain universities, which shouts to those universities that are taking just that step and just modernizing this model. But we need to see that across the entire NCAA because yeah, y'all are literally making billions of dollars off of these student athletes every single year, and they don't see none of it.
A
And
unit, a
we haven't seen
unit,
none of it. We ain't seen none of it.
a
As
unit costing $2 million is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it is.
That's how much a Bitcoin gonna be. I'm telling y'all. At some point, one Bitcoin gonna be $2 million, y'all.
It's crazy. So I hope that they change the model. Women's basketball, the unit system in regards to the women's
Yeah, that's
tournament is way overdue.
yeah.
And to DA's question, I do think that this is a conversation that's currently happening, and I hope that they're able to implement it as soon as possible, as early as next year. Because the way that the numbers are set up, this is a beautiful segue into our next conversation about just how numbers don't lie, and how the viewership numbers and the ticket sales are up crazy, right? Um, in regards to viewership, I do think it is important for us to just run down um just um the top 10 most watched games of women's basketball history. So at 10, we have in 1989 for the final game versus Tennessee and Auburn, where Tennessee beat Auburn. It was 7.22 million viewers
Mm.
in 1989. So
Right.
the numbers, and I think it's also important to highlight the numbers because throughout the course of women's basketball history, I feel like the NCAA just has had such a hard problem and a hard issue with like valuing, like the valuation of women's basketball has always been an issue.
Right.
When the numbers they've been showing themselves, like it's been here.
Somebody
It's
been hating. They've been hating.
yeah, just say
Somebody,
that.
somebody
If
been
you
hating.
don't really support women's basketball, just say that. But don't say the numbers ain't been there because they've been there. They've been there. So
They
then at number
been,
9, we
you
got
know,
in 1991, Tennessee beat Virginia, and 7.33 million people watched that game.
yeah.
Number 8, 1995, UConn defeated Tennessee. 7.44 million people went and watched that game. In 1993, Texas Tech, they beat Ohio State. There was 7.81 million people that watched that game. Led by the future Hall of Famer Cheryl Swoops.
Mm, come on. Come on.
1992 national semifinal. Stanford defeated Virginia. 8.8 million people watched. The only game on this list that was not for the national championship. The actual national title game, it says Stanford won and beat Western Kentucky and averaged just 5.52 million viewers that day. The following day. Then at 4, we have in 1984, USC beat Tennessee. 8.29 million people viewing that. Cheryl Miller's second straight and final national championship. 1982.
Mm.
This is something Brittany and I always talk about. We got Louisiana Tech. They beat Chaney State. There was 8.79 million people watching that game, and that's the first ever NCAA women's basketball national championship Kim Mulkey played on Louisiana Tech at that time.
Right.
Number
Shout
3,
out to Coach Stringer for coaching that game.
Shouts to Chaney State.
Shout out to
The
Chaney
only
State.
HBCU to ever have played in a national championship, by the
Facts.
way.
Facts.
Okay. Um,
Facts.
and then in number 3, we got in 2023, obviously, we got LSU. They beat Iowa. 9.92 million people watched. Number 2, we have 1986 final. Texas defeated USC. 11.22 million people watched that game, and that was the final college game that Cheryl Miller played in. And then finally at number 1, 1983, USC beat Louisiana Tech, and there was 11.84 million people watching, and that was Cheryl Miller's first national championship. So we say all that to say People lie, men lie, women lie, numbers
Numbers
don't.
don't lie.
Where's Cheney State? They act. You know what's crazy? I read an article saying that they are moving out of their Division 1 status or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, they are. They're moving out of their Division 1 status. Um, Either they're going to D2 or the D2 level or something else, but they're removing themselves. And I think it's because of funding, something of that sort. Don't quote me. I've read an article a couple months back about it. But that's what's up with Cheney State. But yeah, shouts to Cheney State.
Well, if
But
they would have had a unit system back then, Cheney State would have got some money.
that's the point I'm trying to make. Like, that's the point I'm trying to make. Like, this could definitely help HBCUs. But yeah, like the viewership numbers are there. You know, Iowa just beat LSU. Everybody knows, if you don't know, that the average viewership numbers were 12.3 million for that game. At the high of it was 16 million people that viewed that game. That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. And I also want to say, because Brittany and I was talking about this offline, but like everybody was talking. Everybody, this was such a highly anticipated game. Like, I watched Joe Budden's podcast. I saw, first of all, none of the men on Joe Budden's podcast watch women's basketball. They have said that on multiple occasions. They've been asked to come to New York Liberty games, and they just haven't. Like, they said they had intentions of going and just didn't make it.
Okay.
They sat. I listened to the last episode. It was like, yo, we was beasting to watch this game. First of all, I was hyped for them to even say that. I'm like, oh, they was really looking forward to watching this game.
Yeah.
Now, you know, they casuals because like the stuff that they were saying during the pod. But the fact that they actually sat and watched it, and they said that they were excited to watch it, and that some of them went to like bars and it was crowded, and people was texting them about this game.
Yeah.
That's very telling, right? Like,
women's basketball is here, man. It's been here. Like we said, the numbers have been here.
yeah.
Y'all just been putting a blind eye to everything. Like,
Right.
it's incredible to see women's basketball trending.
Right. Everywhere. And I mean everywhere. Like,
everywhere. So like, just shout out to all the women pioneers who were playing when they weren't getting acknowledged at all. This is for you.
Right. Right.
Like, we've gotten to a place where men know more women players than the actual men.
Right.
In the tourney.
Right.
Right? You got clips of Kevin Garnett talking with Paul Pierce. Like,
yeah, and mad hype too.
Hype.
Yo, I was like, oh, okay. I love to see it. I love it here. Like, okay.
Yeah, viewership is up. So businesses, what else do y'all need? What else do y'all need to see to invest in people that are pushing the game? What else do y'all need to see?
Nothing.
There's nothing else y'all need to see
to
invest into women's sports.
Nothing.
And to be quite honest, the United States just caught up.
Yeah.
I was just having this conversation with Chanteé offline. Overseas, they value women's basketball overseas 10 times more, man. Them stadiums over there be packed. You go to these top tier teams, Fenerbahce. It's packed out there. Erica Wheeler was just in Poland. She won her second back-to-back Poland championship. Packed in that arena. Okay? So y'all talking about women's basketball? It's been here.
We just catching up. United States,
we gotta do better, man. We gotta do better. And
nah, I feel you. Yeah. And then ticket prices. Ticket prices are sky high. The women's NCAA Final Four has doubled. Okay. the price of the men's.
Come
The average
on.
price of a ticket sold to the women's semifinals was $2,323. I love to see it. The average sale price for the men's was $1,001.21, including data from sales made from over a month ago. The average price for the women's semifinals was $1,131.78, compared with $400.29 for the same period back in 2023. So the jump is crazy.
Y'all see that year over year?
That's a crazy jump. That's over $600.
Come on. Come on.
That's over $600.
Do y'all know how much them Albany regional tickets were?
Listen, we looked because we wanted to go. We looked. I was like, yo, let me see how much these joints cost, yo. Just
expensive. Okay,
I was hyped because I was like, yo,
very hype.
Yo,
very
they
hype.
coming out. They coming out, but damn. But damn. This is the price we pay for, growing the game, and this is what it looks like. And so I love to see it. I love to see the numbers, because that's what this is all a numbers game. Even for the NCAA, this is a numbers game. But at this point, like Brittany just said, because the numbers are here, the women shouldn't even hear a no. There shouldn't be a no. Whispered, uttered, said, yelled. There shouldn't be a no because they're doing what they need to do.
Right.
And so, with the ticket sales being up, obviously local businesses start to thrive, and restaurants and tea merchandise, all of that stuff is up. We just heard Lauren, shouts to Lolo. She just said she was about to buy a Juju Watkins jersey today.
Yeah.
This is what everything is a domino effect.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to the women only sports bars that have been popping up across the nation, because they are doing fabulous right now.
They are
phenomenal,
and they're gonna continue to thrive. Just again, not just because of women's basketball, but the way women's sports is doing. The numbers they're gonna keep going up. This growth has happened within a 3 to 4 year span.
Facts.
So imagine what it's gonna look like at 10. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, because you also talked about how the United States is late with just appreciating women's basketball, but
go ahead.
The NCAA, right? I don't even want to give NCAA their props. But I do to some degree. They've done a really great job in marketing the tournament, marketing these teams, marketing the coaches, their stories. Same thing on the women's side. They've done an amazing job. Even off season, I follow a page, March Madness Women's Basketball. I follow that page all throughout the year, because I'm always interested in seeing like how they're continuing to market and brand the NCAA, even though these women, they're not hooping right now. Mm-hmm. They're not hooping during the summer, but they always have a dope campaign. They always have somebody pulling up to the universities when somebody's working out to like ask them questions. Just they do a good job marketing.
Right.
And I can't help to think, and I'm gonna just say it, that WNBA is lazy when it comes to marketing and branding. And they have literally been riding the wave of the NCAA tournament for 3 years now, solid 3 to 4 years now. And I don't hear enough people saying that, but I'm gonna say it. The WNBA is lazy. Mm-hmm. The NCAA has been putting in the work and the time and the effort. As much as I don't, this is an unbiased opinion. Just I don't really care for NCAA like that, just because of how they be doing the student athletes, X, Y, and Z. But I think they got this part right with marketing and branding. And it's funny because right before we went live tonight, we saw Gino talking about how you know, the WNBA needs to step it up with marketing and branding once these young women leave and go to the league. And I can't help but agree, because this is something that I say to Brittany all the time.
They got to step it
With
up.
these young women going into the league this year, I'm not gonna hold you. I'm on the WNBA's neck because I want to see what y'all do with that.
Facts.
Yeah, how that's gonna transition over? How y'all gonna keep people engaged? Because right now y'all just been riding the wave. Y'all been riding the wave since 2020, 2021. I've been watching.
Right.
The numbers for the NCAA have increased. They've been doing a great job telling these stories of these young women, getting more people engaged year by year, little by little. And that has transferred over to more people watching WNBA games. We saw the numbers last year.
Right.
We saw the numbers when New York Liberty played
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, yeah. And even when they played Washington,
Yeah.
the numbers was up. The numbers was there. And I think it's because it's a domino effect for how, not only how these young women have been performing in the tournament, but just how the NCAA has been doing a good job with marketing and branding.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, when Aaliyah Boston came out last year, everybody knew who she was.
Right.
And everybody was excited for her to get to the league.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody followed her while she was on the Indiana FIFA. WNBA.
I'm just watching. I'm gonna be watching. I'm gonna be watching.
No, this is a PSA to y'all. Yes. Spend the money.
You gotta get creative.
Do the work, man.
Get creative.
Bring in people that can do the work, yo. Hire the people that need to do the work to market and brand.
Right. And keep just things moving. Keep people engaged. And
they gotta do a better job, man.
They do. And I'm gonna be watching, but I just wanted to, kind of hear your thoughts. Obviously, you just gave them, but interested in hearing everybody else's thoughts about it too. But that's just my observation. That's just my opinion. I think that they've been riding the NCAA wave, and nonetheless, to kind of close out the business side of the NCAA before we start talking about our predictions for the Final Four, we're seeing new brands now enter the college and NCAA ecosystem. And the NIL has really pushed every bounds that was there previously.
Stirred the pot, baby.
It stirred the pot, and it just, my eyes say it all. Like, it's just an exciting time, because, like, I mean, we just saw how Angel Reese rolled out her declaration to the WNBA yesterday.
Fire.
First of all, I mean, and fire is keeping it cute, right? It's Vogue, like it's Vogue, it's high fashion, high couture.
Vogue. Yeah, that's fire.
Vogue done entered the NCAA ecosystem.
Right.
Are y'all thinking about that? Like,
that's big, bro.
Vogue entered the college basketball ecosystem.
Yeah.
That's setting new precedents.
Right.
Setting new standards, a new bar, all of that. So, like, it's just a really exciting time for women's college hoops and the tournament. And I think that because Vogue this won't be the last time we see Vogue.
Nah.
Making its appearance in the NCAA tournament, or just the NCAA in general. But the sky's the limit for these brands and these young women. And I think that it's just a really exciting time.
Look here. You already know I am happy that these brands are finally, like, what y'all been waiting for.
Right.
What y'all been waiting for.
Right.
Cosmetics? Where y'all at?
Cosmetics need. I mean, we got Mayel. Shouts to Mayel, black owned
Yeah,
company.
facts.
Hair products. You know, they got Angel Reese and a couple of other women's athletes. Um,
Facts.
but it's the possibilities are endless.
Come on, we was talking
Endless.
about Juju's bun the other day. Who's gonna be? Come on,
Somebody needs a somebody with hair gel, a hair
come on,
gel brand need to go ahead and holler at Juju because
come
that
on.
bun don't be moving at all. But yeah, the possibilities are endless. Obviously there's with sports and with basketball in particular, there's just so many connections to be made on all levels, from art to music to fashion, and so we're gonna start seeing that a lot more. And
Yeah. I also wanted to shout out Sprouts. Remember
oh
we
yes,
Sprouts Farmers Market? They've been in the NIL NCAA space for like 2 years now, and I didn't
right.
even know that. Like
There's a lot of brands and
women
businesses.
athletes
Mm-hmm.
sponsoring. Yeah, y'all brands, come on, stop playing.
Stop playing. So yeah, it's just an exciting time. So let's get into our Final Four predictions, man.
Right.
Yo, NC State, South Carolina. Go ahead, Brittany. I'm gonna let you pop it off because
So obviously we know NC State, they the Cinderella of
big
this
facts.
tournament. For real, because we didn't have them coming.
No, they wasn't ranked throughout the
Right.
season. What else? Like they wasn't ranked. Nobody was really in the having talks about having them go deep into the tournament. Definitely not this deep into the tournament.
No, absolutely.
Um, but they beat some really big teams to
They
get
have.
here.
They have. They have.
Chattanooga.
I feel like they just had a chip on their shoulder.
Facts.
I feel like once because they lost to Notre Dame in the ACC tournament,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that right
That's what
there
did it.
was like Sanaya didn't play well during that game. Sanaya Rivers, which is one of the three guards that's going crazy for NC State right now. Um, so I think this has been their like redemption tour, essentially. And just to like throw some like headlines out there, this is redemption, I think, for Sanaya Rivers. If y'all didn't know, Sanaya Rivers was at South Carolina, transferred at NC State now, going ham. Okay,
Right.
so this may be a redemption kind of. I got a chip on my shoulder game for her.
It may be. Um, I
Okay,
saw her talk a little bit about how she still, has a good rapport and relationship with Dawn. But facts, if I'm playing my old team, I'm going out trying to kill.
that's a
I'm trying.
fact.
I'm trying to give y'all some straightening and let you know, like for real. That's what I'm gonna do. That's how I'm gonna feel. So yeah, I think you're right. I think that's how Sanaya is gonna naturally feel. Um, talking about NC State, we've been talking about their guard play. Shouts to the whole 9450. They've talked about it as well. But just that triangle O with them three,
Yeah,
arguably, I think they got like the best guards left out of the four teams. Well, yeah, the four teams that remain. And they all got a yo-yo. They all can shoot the ball. They can take you off the dribble. Um, you know, I think that with South Carolina, them playing South Carolina, they're lacking depth. Obviously, North Carolina, NC State is lacking depth, and then they're also lacking height.
right.
um, Not to mention, obviously, South Carolina, their bench is just their bench. Like they can get it done. They got multiple people that they can put in. They play defense. Seatbelt gang going to be in full effect. Um, So yeah, I think South Carolina is going to come out with this win. But I will say this, like, and I may be jumping the gun because I still want to talk a little bit about NC State. Um, to me, in my opinion, the way that I saw South Carolina come out and beat
North
North
Carolina.
Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen, and I feel like I said this before. I just have never seen that version of South Carolina this entire season, but for that one game. And I think that we need to see that version moving forward. Um, they've been in this position last year where they made it to the Final Four. They obviously lost. They had an undefeated season, but for that last game. So the pressure is, I think, whatever pressure that they may feel will be on them because they've been here before. They faced this situation before. Um, but that version of South Carolina that I saw rip apart North Carolina is like the team. And I think that that's the version of them I'm looking for moving forward in this tournament. Um, Going back to NC State, Brittany did mention that, they're Cinderella team. And we just saw um Isaiah James, and shouts to her because she's been killing. She's been killing all tournament, showing up 100% for her team, um, getting crazy numbers, um, shooting that thing on a three,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just really showing a big, but nonetheless, again, with NCAA's marketing and really giving these young women the opportunity to tell their stories, we've learned that, Isaiah James, unfortunately, and, prayers to her, she lost her brother a few years ago, um, due to gun violence. And she plays for her brother. And I think that that's one of the most special things about tournament time is because obviously you don't know who's gonna show up and show out, and be the quote unquote star on these teams. But it also gives us spectators, and supporters of the game an opportunity to connect with these players on another level,
Right.
on a more personable level. And it just brings another dynamic to the game. And so I just wanted to give a shout to Isaiah James because not only has she been killing, but just knowing just her story and then why she's performing the way she is. I mean, she's went on record saying that her brother has been playing with her this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like, how could you not love to hear that on top of how she's been performing? So,
Right.
um, just wanted to talk about again just the importance of like being able to tell stories. Um, you know, plays a part in the viewership, plays a part in people wanting to learn more and be interested in watching sports more, watching basketball more. So, um, wanted to give a shout out to her and NC State. But yeah, I mean, on the flip side of that, I don't think they have a foot in this race. I think they will. I think they're gonna fall to South Carolina.
Yeah.
If they shoot well, they'll make it interesting.
Right.
So, what do you
Yeah, I
think?
think if the guards continue to play like how they playing, I think the game is going to be an interesting game. I just want to see a competitive game, to be quite honest. I think we all, most of us, have South Carolina winning this game, so I'm gonna stick with South Carolina. But I think if the guard play of Zoe Brooks, Isaiah James, and Sanaya Rivers, if they play well, they can keep the game interesting. And their other role players do what they need to do. Mimi Collins, River Baldwin, Madison Hayes, they do what they need to do. It's gonna be a competitive game. So, but I got
For
South
sure.
Carolina.
Sure. All right. So moving on, we got UConn, and Iowa. I'm gonna let you start that off too.
Woo, UConn and Iowa. I feel like they're both relatively like fair matched because like both teams don't play that many players, right? Like Iowa, I don't feel like they play that many players, maybe seven. And obviously, we know the story at UConn with just being plagued by injuries, but they still only also play seven.
Right.
Okay.
It's an interesting matchup. It
Right.
almost mirrors, right?
Right. It's almost mirrored. For me, I think it's about um obviously the big matchup is Paige versus Caitlin, right? Um, the two best players on the teams. Uh, for me, I think this is like a put on watch for Paige. Like y'all forgot who I was because I got injured for a little bit, but y'all seen how I've been performing during this tournament. Like I'm putting all y'all back on notice that next year I'm the one. Okay, Caitlin leaving, I'm the one, and I'm gonna show y'all today. So I think if Paige plays the way she plays, and you got everybody else hitting shots, because I can't trust Kate Martin, and I can't trust Gabby Marshall. I can't trust them.
That's fair.
So I'm going UConn.
Okay, well, I'm a roll with Iowa. Um, and I agree with everything you said. Every single thing. I think that they mirror each other. I think that if either one of them teams get in foul trouble, they in trouble. I think that I'm gonna go with Iowa because obviously Caitlin Clark is gonna do Caitlin Clark things. I think that because of how Iowa showed up for LSU and do what they needed to do, I think that they're gonna do the same thing. I would think they would. They would show up for this matchup against UConn. I'm also rolling with Iowa because they like to run in transition. They do a great job in transition. Hannah Stokey, she'll get out and run. I know Aaliyah Edwards can keep up with her as well. However, if Aaliyah Edwards gets in foul trouble, they're in trouble.
Right.
Last game, Aaliyah Edwards, I think she ended the game with 4 fouls. I think Mika also ended the game with 4 fouls. It was a close call for UConn. Let me be very clear.
Right.
Another whistle would have been blown. I don't know what they was about to do. And so yes, to what you said about Kate Martin, I'm a roll with her. I think that she's gonna show up big for this being her last season. I don't know about Gabby Marshall. She's been inconsistent. Hannah Stokey had a hard time guarding Angel Reese, as we saw, but I think that she's going to show up a little bit better against Aaliyah Edwards. I think that she's super athletic, um, and she'll be able to bang a little bit better with Aaliyah Edwards. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna roll with Iowa for this one.
Okay. Well, I got UConn. You got Iowa. There we go.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. Um, but yeah, that's all we have for y'all tonight.
Yeah.
I hope y'all appreciated us talking a little bit about, the business side of the tournament, and then also our Final Four predictions. Let us know what you think in the comments, or just give us some feedback. But that's all we have tonight for our Final Four preview with brackets and buckets. This has been a great mini series. We got some more on the way, obviously, because the tournament is not over. But this has been fun. This has
It
been
sure
fun.
has.
Yeah,
And as always, make sure y'all following the 9450 on
everywhere.
every platform possible.
There we go.
Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Everywhere where there's social media, you follow us. Okay?
Tap in. Tap in.
All
But
right.
yeah, until next time, we hope y'all have a good evening. Watch some games tomorrow. Then let us know your thoughts about, throughout this whole entire series, the information we've been providing. So let us know what you think after you watch these games. So
Facts. Tune into the Final Four tomorrow,
tomorrow,
7 p.m. South Carolina versus NC State.
right?
9 p.m. Iowa versus UConn.
So we'll
Get to
see.
it.
All right, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.